Hi friends, happy Monday. Well, it's going to be Tuesday for you because you guys are going to watch this on Tuesday. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great weekend. I am coming on here and I'm starting a new book. I know Miss Todd read Just a Second to you guys yesterday, and that's such a great book. It has such interesting facts. So today we're picking back up with another nonfiction book that should look familiar to you because we read a little bit of the first part together a couple of weeks ago. So this is Can You Fly High, Wright Brothers. And this is another nonfiction text. It is a biography because it is about the Wright brothers, written by Melvin and Gilda Berger. So it's not an autobiography, just a biography. And this goes all through the Wright brothers and how they became famous and how, as you know, they created the first airplane here in North Carolina. One of the text structures we're going to be focusing on today is chronological order. So as you know, biographies and autobiographies, they go in chronological order. So it describes items or events in the order they happened or tells the steps to follow to do something or make something. So we're going to be learning about the Wright brothers in order, from their parents to their childhood to when they first discovered their interest in airplanes to them actually creating them, and then after they got famous. So it's going in order. It's a progression. And then we've got some signal words, which we've discussed before, some clue words that show that this is going in chronological order. So we've got first, second, next, then, before, after, finally, following, now, soon, later. Those aren't all of them, but those are a good amount. So I want you to be paying close attention as I'm reading today to see how they use those signal words when they're going in chronological order. And as you know, you will have an exit ticket. So I want you to be focusing on what I'm reading and following along. So we are going to pick up, we're not going to start at the beginning. Here's our great table of contents. Miss Todd read who the Wright brothers were, and then this just talks about the oldest brother, Wilbur, and then the youngest brother, Orville. So I'm going to skip through that. It talks about how they had a really happy childhood. They got along well, and they like to find scraps of metal or wood around the house, and they really like to build things. And I'm going to start here. When did the brothers first become interested in flying? We've got our heading. All right. So when Wilbur was 11 and Orville was 7, their father brought home a surprise. It was a toy helicopter. The plane was powered by a rubber band attached to 2 propellers. Twisting the rubber band made the propellers spin and sent the helicopter into the air. The boys spent hours playing with this toy. They named it the Bat. When the bat broke, they were able to fix it right away. The brothers also made copies of the bat and earned money selling the toys to their friends. Later, there's a signal word right there. Later, the brothers tried to build a larger toy helicopter, but they could not get it to fly. Wilbur and Orville said their interest in flying started with the bat and the trouble they had making a larger helicopter. Here's a great picture, illustration of the bat. It's got labels and it shows where the propeller is. So that's a good nonfiction text feature we see. Another one is the photograph. Here's our next heading. Did the Wright brothers go to college? For the sake of time, I'm going to skip over this page. They went to college, but they did not go to college. They didn't even graduate high school, but they were very, very bright. Okay, so what was the Wright brothers' first business? Orville got interested in the printing business when he was helping his father in the church printing plant. At 13, he built his own printing press with help from Wilbur. Orville made the press out of scrap metal, an old tombstone, and firewood that helps produce the newspapers. At first, Orville and Wilbur put their homemade printing press to work doing small printing jobs for friends. Later, another signal word, we've got two, at first and then later. Later, they published a weekly newspaper called the West Side News. And here is an actual photograph of their paper. The first issue came out on March 1st, 1889. Wilbur was 21, Orville was 17. After a year, another signal word, Orville and Wilbur changed the West Side News to a daily newspaper. But 3 months later, the paper failed. The brothers went back to being printers. They mostly made business cards, wedding invitations, and posters. Here's letter blocks used in printing presses. So we've got 3 signal words to show that it's in chronological order. At first, later, after a year. Those are all clues showing the progression of their first business. And then the newspaper, which unfortunately did not succeed, but they still had their printing press business. What did the Wright brothers do next? And there is another signal word, next. So we know we're going to find out what they did after that failed. In the 1890s, a new fad, a fad is like what's popular at the time, was sweeping the country. It was bicycles. The old kind had giant front wheels and tiny back wheels. The new ones looked like the bikes of today. They were safer and easier to ride. Wilbur and Orville were among the first in Dayton to own the new bicycles. Wilbur enjoyed going for long rides into the country. Orville was more interested in racing. Of course, both brothers were able to fix their bikes when anything went wrong. Soon, people began asking Wilbur and Orville to repair their bikes. By 1892, the Wright brothers decided to close the printing shop and open a bicycle store. They sold, fixed, and rented bikes, and even began building their own bicycles. So here's a good photograph of it's Wright Cycle Co. That means company. There's what the bicycle used to look like. And then obviously we know what the bicycle of today. So just a few more notes. We've got what the Wright brothers did next, showing that it's continuing to go in chronological order. It also has specific years. So it has the 1890s and then by 1892, showing that progression. Okay. When did Wilbur and Orville decide to build an airplane? The brothers first got the idea of inventing an airplane in 1896. They read Bodie. Excuse me. Sorry. Bodie's licking his paws. They read a newspaper article about the German inventor Otto Lilienthal. He was testing a glider when it crashed and he was killed. A glider is an aircraft that looks something like a small airplane, but without an engine. It is held by wind and air currents. Soon, the brothers were reading all they could about flying. They found that people had long dreamed of soaring like birds. Around the year 1485, Leonardo da Vinci imagined a flying machine with flapping wings. Others built giant balloons filled with hot air that rose up into the sky. As you've probably seen a hot air balloon, which they still have today. Many built gliders, but no one had built a safe and useful flying machine. The Wright brothers decided to give it a try. So here is an actual photograph of their plan, of their illustration. Of their plan of trying to So it says an illustration of the first manned hot air balloon ride made in 1783 by French Montgolfier brothers. Originally, hot air balloons were slow and dangerous. And then this is Leonardo da Vinci's drawing from 1485. Pretty cool. So what I want you, another thing we're going to focus on is descriptive language that gives detail, that helps you visualize what you're reading. So I've pointed out a few. We've got soaring like birds. We've got flapping wings. We've got giant balloons. All of these descriptive details give you an idea of what it looks like. We know what wings look like on a bird. We know a bird is soaring up in the air. We know what a giant balloon looks like. So those details, very descriptive details, help us picture in our mind what it might have looked like back then. So what I want you to do, as I read the next two pages, I want you to really think about the descriptive details they are using, because that's going to be part of your exit ticket. So why did the Wrights build a giant kite? I've got a great photograph here. First, the Wright brothers built a giant kite shaped like a glider. They wanted to find a way to steer it, think like a steering wheel. No one had yet solved this problem with flying machines. Wilbur studied how birds fly. Birds raise one wing and lower the other to make a turn. Could the Wrights steer the kite by twisting its wings? The Wrights ran cords from the kite's wingtips to small sticks that they held in their hands. When the kite was in the air, they pulled on the right cord. The kite turned to the right. When they pulled on the left cord, the kite to the left. It worked. And this shows a modern box kite that resembles the Wright brothers' glider, and you can see the cords to pull. Okay, so here is your exit ticket. So I really want you to be focusing on descriptive details that help you visualize what's going on. Next, there we've got another chronological signal word. The Wright brothers built a glider big enough to carry one person. They put it together at their Dayton bicycle shop. It had two wings, one above the other. The glider's wooden body was covered with white cotton cloth. The pilot lay down on the lower wing. His feet rested against a wooden bar. Wires connected the ends of the bar to the wing tips. By pushing with one foot, the glider turned to the left. By pushing with the other foot, the glider turned to the right. In front of the bottom wing was a flat panel that the brothers called the elevator. The pilot controlled the elevator with his hands. By raising or lowering the elevator, the pilot made the glider go up or down. So I'm just going to hold this here for just a minute. And I want you to be thinking about descriptive details or specific words they used that really helped you picture them building this glider that could turn, okay? And I want you, on your piece of paper, I want you to write down those descriptive words or that sentence. I want you to tell me what you saw, so what you visualized, and I want you to tell me what you learned from this. So let's review that one more time. You're going to write the sentence or sentences that give the descriptive details on this page. I want you to write down what you then saw in your mind, and then I want you to tell me the facts that you learned from those details. What you need to do will also be on the Google document, okay? So just to review, today we went over chronological order, first, next, after that, and then we also went over descriptive details, okay? So, and I've got the photograph here of him actually flying the glider. We will finish this book up later this week. I hope you guys have a great afternoon.